Welcome to the Long Range Pursuit Podcast, presented by Gunworks, where we learn about and share long-range shooting techniques, science, and gear.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Long Range Pursuit Podcast. We're kind of continuing a little bit of a mini-series here, hunt prep, kind of gear preparation. We covered rifles and kind of what we do to get our rifle ready for hunts on the last episode. If you didn't miss that, go grab it. But right here, we kind of want to talk a little bit about some of the other ancillary gear. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of gear organization planning that goes into getting ready for these hunts. You know, we're a month out from some of these Western hunts starting here pretty quick. Man, the guys up north are already going.
Yep.
And so, I thought we'd just kind of talk through, we've probably all got a few like pet topics and kind of favorite things that we like to do. I've already just chatting here in the last few minutes, kind of prepping for this, come up with some pretty good things that I need to start building into my repertoire. So who wants to kick us off?
Go for it, Tanner.
I think first and foremost, we'll just start out with a rifle. One thing that I really like to do before a hunt or just going through all my gear is just make sure my rifle's squared away, get that thing cleaned up if I haven't touched it since last hunting season. I like to go through and check all my torques on my scope bases and ring screws, and then action screws and whatnot there, just to eliminate variables going down the road as I'm shooting it,
Do you guys usually clean your rifle at the end of a season, or I tend to clean probably a lot less than most.
Gotcha.
But I guess generally speaking, I would, especially if I were just putting a rifle in the case, I would probably try to clean it at the end of the season and give it kind of, so it's not sitting in the safe dirty all winter long. But you obviously don't want to be going into a hunt with a clean bore. Yeah. So you need to be, even if you're cleaning, say, before a hunt, you want to be getting out to the range and fouling that boar, getting it back kind of into its equilibrium, so to say. But
for sure. No, I'm a little bit on your side as well, but I do shoot enough that I do have to clean. So like, I don't want to have to have like a carbon ring build up, and having some issues with velocity and whatever. So I do have to clean enough, but like rolling out of the winter, yes, I probably have left that thing dirty too long. Yeah. And so I need to do a deep clean, and that's where I'll, it's like Tanner said, I'll kind of do everything at once, because I'm like, you know what, this thing's been a while. I may as well just take it apart and check everything, right? Check the screws and all that, clean it. That stock inside, shock you how dirty it gets inside the stock, right?
Oh, yeah, you got pine needles from 2 seasons before wedged down onto there. I mean, that could cause issues. So you definitely, you want a free-floated barrel. It's pretty important. So just kind of clear some of that crap out of there.
Good to clean that. So I like that. Just, checking your gun, cleaning it, and doing a little small maintenance of the gun. Yeah, suppressors. If you shoot a lot of suppressors, you get some carbon that's built up too much on that can. We want to try to repeat that zero every time we pull that suppressor off, put it back on. Some of those mating surfaces I'll usually go through and scrape with a screwdriver real nice, get any carbon buildup cleaned off. Those are just a couple of small maintenance things that I can think of on a rifle. Man, I'm gonna dive right into one other thing off rifle topic that just came to mind that we didn't talk about earlier was, we've covered it before, I think, with some boots.
Oh yeah.
We're always trying new boots and this and that. I think I've got a pair that I really like. But one thing if you have a pair of boots you're using for multiple seasons, is I've been so terrible at not taking care of them. And so then they just wear out. Beside the sole wearing off, the outside of it just feels like crap, right? And so like cleaning them and oiling in some boots, I've been really bad at that. And it'll keep your waterproofing to last 10 times longer. A couple things like that I've done this year that I'm really trying to do when I kind of pulled all the hunting gear out to kind of look at it. That was one, that I'll definitely do. Me and Landon do quite a bit of backpack hunting, a lot of backcountry stuff. What's one of the things that you did this year for, you were talking about your stove that you had?
Yeah, like this weekend, it's Monday. I mean, just yesterday I was out, seasoned my new titanium stove.
Sweet.
So I picked up a couple new.
Where'd you get that by the way? Who'd you go with?
So it's like it seems like the two real popular ones are the Kafaro and the Seek.
Okay.
guys. And so, I ended up doing some shopping this spring, and I mean, I think I picked them up in the spring. I just haven't used them yet. The intent was to maybe get out and use them this summer, but life, right?
Yeah.
So picked up a new teepee and a titanium stove from Seek.
Sweet.
And so got the teepee tent sealed up. You got to do the seam sealing on them. And then the titanium stove, you don't, that's metal has kind of a memory to it. You're rolling up big pieces of sheet metal and stuff. And so the idea is you want to get out and season that stove. You want to assemble it in a little bit more controlled environment rather than while you're freezing in a snowstorm on top of a mountain, right? And so assemble it a little bit more carefully in a controlled environment and burn it in, and basically it builds some memory into that stove, and so it becomes a little bit easier to install when you are freezing on top of a mountain.
So
or to assemble, I guess.
Yeah, for one, right? You're not like, does this go here?
Yeah,
and you're burning holes in tents and whatever. So
so did a little bit of that. I'm definitely hitting this point where it's like we're a month out from hunts, and I'm almost, I wouldn't say panic mode, but it's like, okay, I'm getting in the zone. It's go time, right? So I'm starting to think about, okay, what other gear, I've either acquired some gear over the course of the season, prepping for the hunt that I need to start getting kind of put together or organized or familiarized with. Some of it broken in, like boots, like you want to be breaking in boots, probably long before now.
Yeah, for sure.
Picked up a new pair of boots this year that I'm really excited about. Did some hiking in the spring with those.
Cool.
But it's also things like, I'm kind of OCD with cleaning gear. And it's like my pack, I do not like having like old blood stains on my packs and stuff. And so,
get rank.
Like that's just one of my things. Right. And so, my packs are relatively clean, but kicking around in the back of a dusty truck all summer long, it's like, it's probably not a bad idea to give it a good cleaning before the first archery hunt coming up. And so I'll probably disassemble that thing, empty it out, and give it a good soak with some Mirazyme and basically the stuff that you can get on Amazon. I think Big Net makes it, and you basically soak that in a big Tupperware tub or a bathtub or something like that. Just put a little bit of that in the water, soak it, and it's got enzymes in it that break down all the organic material.
Didn't think about
like
that.
If you got a stinky pack, big,
one
of
like
the best gear hack. So that's where I learned about the stuff originally, because I used to do a lot of vertical, kind of fun different sports with wetsuits. And man, those wetsuits, you're sweating and stinking in those things. They get rank. Yeah. And dude, I'm telling you, you dump some of that stuff in a tub with some wetsuits, and it will restore them instantly. So
I know I've, for one, like on the side of just getting stuff out of it, it's like anybody that's done a long backpacking trip and they've got this one corner of the pack that just squeaks in your ear for 12 miles. It's like there's nothing worse. And it's like you can fix a lot of that just by cleaning your pack, So I've been guilty of that too many times and been annoyed. So.
But one thing it's caught me off guard the last couple seasons, it seems like I'll go into the end of the season, you got that last hanging November hunt or whatever it is, and inevitably something's broken or something's been lost during the season. And so you think, okay, I'll replace that at the end of the season. Well, I get into the first hunt of the year, or I'm packing for the first hunt of the year, and all of a sudden I'm like, crap, I never replaced that thing, or I never fixed it, or whatever it is. And now I'm going into hunt unprepared, So it's like, I need to probably be keeping better shopping lists for myself throughout the season. But again, like if you're starting to kind of organize and get some of that stuff together now, you might be able to catch some of that before it's the night before your hunt, kind of thing.
That's a good point. Like I think about, just real small things. Like I usually wrap a bunch of duct tape around like my lighters. Like I'll carry 2 or 3 lighters in my pack, usually just 2, but I'll wrap duct tape around them. But it's like I'll end up using some of that, right? Oh, I got a hot spot in my foot and I don't have my Leuco tape or whatever with me. I'll just throw a duct tape on it, and that stuff just gets used, and then it's like,
if you didn't replace it at the end of the season, then,
I didn't have it for something else. So stuff like that.
We were just talking similar story with, if guys are carrying a first aid kit, and I hope everybody is carrying a first aid kit. If you're not,
I got better, and I got one.
Anyway, another one of my kind of pet topics, but it's like going through and replacing, meds or whatever it is, all that kind of stuff. It can go bad, it can expire, and so just kind of making sure everything's topped off and tip top shape. There's, I think, pretty good deal.
Smart.
Yeah. Water purification tablets or, antibiotic whatevers or, your anti-diarrheals for the guys that need that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I had one last night. It's funny enough. We had our power go out. We had a super crazy wind come in last night. I don't know if you guys had any of that in Burlington or not. But, man, that wind was nuts out where we're at. And, power goes out. And I'm like, oh, yeah, we're good. I got all the battery packs and whatever to charge phones and this and that. We were fine. But most of them were all like down to one bar, from like just sitting in my hunting pack, And I literally just went upstairs, grabbed the tub, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know where 2 or 3 battery packs are, and they were down to one bar. Charged the phone enough to get through the night or whatever, but still, it was like I could just go out and charge those up, make sure they're ready, for hunting season, because I know it. Like if I don't just go do it, here in the next couple of weeks, I'm gonna forget about it, and the night before, I'm gonna be like, oh crap, we need to bring these with us and charge them in the truck on the drive there or whatever. So battery packs, kind of just all that small stuff just so you're not leaving yourself hanging dry.
Not just battery packs, but Tanner mentioned replacing, headlamp batteries. And, we've all got
finders.
double A's and triple A's and whatever,
Have spares.
Always have spares and, make sure that those are fresh. I would rather, dump a pair that I'm not, sometimes it's like, I can't remember if those were used or not. It's like, I'd rather... put those in the kitchen junk drawer where it doesn't matter if you grab a dead one or not versus the one out of my pack that I'm going to be really wishing I would have replaced,
Yeah, when you were going into after was optics. So now we're kind of jumping all over the place on this one, covering everything we can think of. But yeah, optics, you had made a good point about cleaning stuff.
Again, I'm probably a little bit on the OCD side of things, but I like to kind of before that first hunt of every year go through and clean all of my optics. I mean, everything. And I'm talking like down to the Q-tip level, right? To me, it's just, it probably kind of getting into the zone, but also just knowing that I'm starting off with a fresh, clean slate, and obviously things are going to get dirty. I'm going to have to clean them throughout the season, but just starting off everything from rifle to rangefinder to binos and spotter, everything, objective and ocular lens, just nice and clean, all the grit out of your eye cups and stuff like that. It's just kind of nice to.
I mean, it's
you invest so much in your optics. Yeah. It's like I've got more in optics than rifles and everything else. Sure. It's like optics are worth as much as my truck. I better take care of them.
Yeah. And it's like those coatings is what we're trying to protect, right, on those lenses. So you can keep the grease and stuff off them from getting eroded over time. So it's like it's good to be anal about that, right? To just make sure I'm taking care of that stuff. It's an investment, like you said. I was terrible about that last year and packed a BTX all the way to the top of the mountain, and it was broken. Like I had dropped it or something, and I got up there and my eyes were cross-eyed, and I was like, I just packed 3 pounds up here for nothing.
Is it really only 3 pounds? Because I feel like it's more than that.
It is.
So those things are so
like
heavy.
Pounds,
Dude, they're awesome.
They are.
I carried one around on like that Coos deer hunt a couple years ago, and I can't stand it.
It's hard for me not to go anywhere without them now.
Yeah.
So what I've done this year, so covering a little bit of gear, like what's in my pack in a way, is with that BTX is kind of it's replaced my 15s in a way, to a point.
I can see that.
So like, because before I was packing, a 10 power on my chest, had my 15s in my pack, and then I usually would have my spotting scope, right? So I would sit down, glass 90% of everything with the 15s at long range. We're talking big open country, right? Sit and glass them for a long time. And my 10s end up honestly just giving to my wife, and she would use those. Yep. It's usually what we do when we were hunting. And so now I'm running those 12 pures, rangefinder on the side.
Don't get me started there. I want some of those so bad.
I went from, we've tried all the range-finding binos. This is another thing kind of going on a tangent here with optics, but like, it's a big selling point for me now with our BR4. Right before I was like, oh man, I like to have the range-finding bino in my case, and so it's just all in one. I don't have to think about it. But what I kept noticing was how much less quality the glass was compared to like my other standalones, right? Yeah. And so I'm like, man, so I'm only ranging 1% of the time while I'm hunting. Yeah. Hopefully, right? I'm hopefully pulling an outlet out for that 1% of the hunt. I'm taking that shot and it's done. I'm glassing for 99% of it, and I would rather have something that's way more enjoyable to look through.
Sure. Yeah.
So picked up a set of those 12 pures, and I have those Zeiss 10x42s. I still keep those. My wife's running those now. Those are hers that she's carrying. But it's like, so at least have her as a backup rangefinder if it was to go down.
Yep.
Yet to have anything like that happen, obviously. But I have those really killer binos and glass for hours and hours on end. Not going to lose any quality. Then I'm I sold my 15s.
Mm-hmm.
That was hard. That was really hard. Those 12s have been really impressive on a tripod, but I have those. I'll carry the BTX because before it was like I'd only take the BTX on like a truck hunt or something like that because it was just too much to carry 15s and a BTX. And I feel like that's just too much for just like glass. I don't need that much in general. So I'll bring those BTX with me, and they're replacing my 15s.
Yeah.
So for those really big far glassing sessions, those come out, and so I'm carrying the same amount of weight really because they weighed as much as my 15s did. Right. So
I mean, and obviously you're not carrying a dedicated spotter.
Yep.
Right. And so do you ever feel like you're light on magnification with those?
And I take that back because I am
you
still
do carry
carrying
the eyepiece too. Okay,
so I got to be able to run a phone scope of some sort to run,
So you carry the variable eyepiece and the
variable
BTX.
and the BTX. So that's coming either way.
What a weight, man! I don't know. I'm a weight weenie.
I know.
It would be awesome, and for the right hunt, absolutely. But
yeah,
it's a lot of.
So I mean, to me, I'm looking at it. It's like, okay, I'm either 45 pounds or I'm 50 pounds. Either way, right? It's like with all my food and everything, 45 pounds with that. So if I add on, another optic, I'm still around that 45 to 50 pound area. It's where I want to be, right? And that's backpack hunts and everything. So I'd rather go hit a peak and glass 3 or 4 basins from 2 miles away. Yeah. And I'm not going to burn as much calories as I would, being like, okay, well, I can't see that far. I've got to go hike to that ridge so I can see them now, right? And see what that was. So that's kind of my, one thing that I've kind of figured out and stuck with for now.
I like it
on those deep country hunts. But
a thought I just had was, just popped in my head was knives. Don't forget to sharpen your knives.
Dude, it's genius. I literally just bought. I'm so sick of having dull knives and fighting. Is it sharp? Is it not? Trying to get knives sharp. Like I remember, not going to name names, but I finally thought, I've been using these Havalon knives for so long, and I finally a couple years back, I thought I'm gonna upgrade and buy one of these fancy cool kid, ultralight. Fixed at
fixed blade knives.
I hated the thing like with a passion. Like one animal, and I was ready to chuck it in the woods, right? And so it's like I fought trying to sharpen it, and I probably just wasn't advanced enough to actually get the thing and keep it sharp. It's probably more me than Ed, but I ended up switching back to the Havalons because I hated it that bad. But just last week, I finally bit the bullet and bought one of those Work Sharp sharpeners.
The Ken Onion.
Yeah, the Ken Onion. Yep.
And
like I made a pretty good buddy that's a custom knife maker, and I asked him, like, what do I need to do to up my game on the knife sharpening? He's like that thing's legit. So.
Yeah, sweet. That's what I've been using the past few years. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Yep.
No. So I'm up and I'm probably not gonna give up the Havalons still, but I'm gonna give the fixed, the actual knife thing and try again this year with the right tools and see how it works. Cool.
I like carrying both a fixed blade and then a replaceable blade one. That way I'm not dulling the razor blade trying to cut around bone. Pull the fixed blade out for that.
And it breaks so many blades.
Oh yeah.
And it's like I always come home with like 2 or 3 nicks. I gotta always carrying gloves, right? Yeah. Most of the ones I'll carry, it's like I'll pull a glove off and I'm like, my hand's bloody even with my glove on, but it's just for myself. Yeah. Breaking a blade or stabbing myself.
I've got a bison hunt this year. It's like I'm not gonna be able to pull that off with Havalon. I'm gonna need to bring a samurai sword or something like that for this one. So
earlier this spring bear hunting, we get up on the top of the mountain, me and my wife up there, and we find this bear and we're like, okay, let's go ahead and make a move. So we're literally like, okay, and it was big valley, like down and across, right? We're going to have to come down, back to the truck, and then back up across. We get down to the truck just to grab, dump this off that we're not going to need and take this or whatever. I'm like digging through my pack and I'm like, I don't even have my kill kit. My kill kit's gone, right? Yeah. So I'm like, and I've got a pocket, like just a regular pocket knife that's probably dull as crap from cutting boxes from whatever. And so it's just, make sure your knives are still in there, right? If you do have one, check. So we had to run to town, buy a knife, came back, then went after it. Yeah. So it was just, terrible. Yeah. So
I remember first deer I ever killed. I hunted so many years, and I didn't kill a deer as a kid. And first deer I finally killed, it's like, oh wait, that's the thing. I'd never needed one.
Right.
So yeah, it's terrible. The first deer I ever killed,
awesome.
I processed with a freaking pocket knife.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
you learn.
Nice.
Pulling the Swiss Army knife out.
Yeah. Where there's a will, there's a way. For sure.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of those nights where the sun's just going down.
Yeah,
and
right.
Your blade's dull, your hands are cold.
Yeah.
It's like, I just want to get this over with,
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, I another one would, to me, like just small little small things that I carry with me is like you were talking about before, is like a lens cloth. I notice a lot of guys don't even have one on them, right? Or they just use their shirt,
Yeah.
So another one, just don't scratch those lens coatings again. We just want to be as careful as we can with them. Yeah. It gets easy to be like, oh, my shirt's pretty soft, it'll be okay. No, it's going to eventually hurt it. Let's go into a little bit of like, what do you guys think, like clothing wise? Is there, it'd be a little bit of a what's in my pack to a point, for clothing wise. We can kind of cover that. But also to me is like, what are you doing? Like for you, this is a good question for you doing a backpacking hunt too, is like, let's say you're gone for a week. What are you doing to keep down some of that like odor? Cause
that's a good one.
Hard one.
I used to, I guess I go through phases. I used to be so anal about it. It's like washing everything with not unscented, scent lock detergent, and like sealing. I've literally have like hunting buddies making fun of me for this, right? So it's like whatever, but like sealing them in individual Ziploc bags, so I can keep them like separate from everything. It's like maybe awesome. I've gotten away, done less archery hunting the last few years, and so maybe I've gotten more lazy, where I just have learned that that stuff's important, but playing the wind right is way more important, things like that. So I've probably kind of gone away from that a little bit in the last few years, but still nice to try and keep things separate, at least keep your dirty, your clean clothes in a separate bag and whatever else.
Yeah. I've been, for me, it's more of like what's going to keep me out there longer, right? Because a lot of guys just tend to come home, right? They're just like, I stink, it's hot, I ain't seeing crap, So it's like me, I look at like, what can I do to keep myself, feeling more comfortable out there, right? Sure. That's the whole, a lot of these things that we carry with us is just to, there's a minimalist side to me big time, where it's just like, I don't need that. Nope. Save the weight, and it's like, I'm not going to go sleep on in a bivvy for, 14 days or something, right? And be miserable. Yeah. But one to me is like totally, is wipes, just like baby wipes. Like I'll literally pack a half a thing of baby wipes up there. And if I've hauled in there and I don't have any water besides what I packed in my back, like I'm going to give myself a bath. Right.
Nice.
And that is like, it's mentally wise. This just at least me, and what I've noticed with a few people that I've hunted with is just like, hey, you want to borrow one? And they're like, dude, I feel like a new person up here.
Oh yeah.
Right?
It's amazing. It's just, if you can justify it. I have a really hard time justifying it on a pack-in hunt, but a horse hunt or, some of those hunts where you're doing a, long days away from the truck kind of thing, then that's a game changer for sure.
So I'm still going to be like, one pair of pants, I'm not going to be packing 2 pairs of pants up there. I'm really terrible on base layer stuff. I guess a lot of the hunting that I do is usually like mid-September, late September, mostly for the high country stuff before the weather gets bad. But I'll hardly ever pack a base layer, like hardly ever. I'm just going to be, and when I say no base layer, it'll be like a t-shirt right on the top, and the bottoms, it's just.
So you're saying you're just taking what you're wearing, or you're not even wearing a base layer?
No, I'll have literally underwear, pants.
Yeah,
that's all I'll wear for bottoms side of things. Yeah, and then tops, I'll have maybe like a a thin sun shirt, kind of like this, where it's mainly just to keep the sun off me. You know, and then I'll have like a down layer after that, and then that's. And then you're obviously your rain gear. That's all I'm going to wear for layers wise. I know a lot of guys are huge on merinos and stuff like that too. Yeah. And that's where I have like a thin merino hooded type shirt, that doesn't get as stinky, right? After, 5 or 6 days up there sweating your guts out.
Synthetics get pretty gross.
Yeah. Exactly.
5 minutes in a synthetic.
So just, that's kind of where that's what I've worn and that's what I've used. And so guess what's something that what are you usually,
No,
wearing
I'm
on something
pretty
like that?
similar other than add in the merino base layers.
Even like
they're a pretty
bottoms
big deal
too,
for me.
right?
Merino boxers, yeah,
Got it.
for sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And
So I mean, I guess that's what I'm doing. That I guess you can call that a base layer for me too, right? So
and then merino, hooded merino, like quarter zip, like one of the best tools out there, right? And I mean, at that point, if you're a couple days in, one's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
It's nice to, if you're horse hunting or if you've got a little bit more access to carry some gear, maybe a backup, switch things out.
Yep.
But I definitely like to have a fleece mid layer with me.
Okay.
It seems like there's too many times where you're either base layer or insulation layer where it's just it's too much or too little, and so I do like to have a fleece mid layer. That Kuiu Peloton is it's
the best jacket they ever made.
Thing. It's amazing. And then I don't go anywhere without a puffy.
Yeah,
and same without rain gear. Like I've been stuck out in the rain a time or two in my life, and I don't like it. So I don't go anywhere without rain gear.
Puffy pants.
Puffy pants is the one that I've had on my wish list for so long, and I just haven't pulled the trigger.
Jump, Landon.
To do
I'll
it.
catch you.
I know. I know it's one of those that I will
level.
never regret.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to happen. We're getting close to season, but it's probably going to happen this season.
I did it last year just before season, and
especially those late hunts where you're just
I'm even
freezing.
talking. I'm talking. Yes,
winds blowing on top of ridges.
Exactly. For me, just like the, mornings when it's cold or whatever, it could be 1st of October or whatever. But like before, like I've just noticed that I'm always like, well, I just need a bigger coat.
Yeah.
That's why I'm cold. And I'll have like a little small layer underneath my pants. Right. And I'm always just been like, oh, my legs don't get cold really. Like they just don't get that cold. Like I usually am fine. It's just as long as my chest is warm, it's fine. Yeah. What I've noticed is like, if I put those puffy pants on, it's like, all I need is like a guide jacket on top. Like I think there's that much more, obviously there's that much more surface area of your body that's got blood going through it. If you can keep that warm, it's going to keep you that much warmer. Yeah. So like I've noticed I've needed to pack less, because like even those late seasons I'd pack a puffy coat, then maybe a guide jacket, or maybe I'd pack 2 puffy coats. Yeah. And then it's like, now I've noticed if I have just puffy pants and a puffy coat, I am so much warmer. And with the rain, maybe just rain gear on the outside of that for a windbreaker, right? And it's like November, super cold, and that is keeping me warm. So I fought it forever, never wore puffy pants whatsoever, and last year made that jump, and I'm like, I have been miserable for so many years. Yeah. So
that's definitely one I need to do. It's funny, I've noticed as I get older, it things change. Like I'm less resilient to the cold than I used to be.
So true.
I've definitely noticed that. So
you're like, you used to be chasing mule deer on the Wasatch Front in a hoodie,
literally
running around with a bow, right?
in a merino top and like attack pants, know, and it's like a puffy in the pack when you stop to glass, and that's all you needed, Yeah. But things change. Yeah. So
going along the same lines as just staying warm is one piece of gear that I've forgotten multiple times that has bitten me in the butt is just a glassing pad, something to sit down on and separate yourself from the ground. That makes a big difference.
That is a really good one. I tend to sit I'll sit on my pack or something if I don't have it. But it's like, I just know I'll sit on something or break a water bladder or something. So it's like, I see a lot of guys do that. So that glassing pad's like a pretty those little guilty pleasures, that you take on a backpack hunt, right?
It weighs less than an ounce.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like,
just throw it in.
Well, and I've seen guys carry heavy ones. You don't need a heavy glassing pad. An ounce, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Kuiu has that one, their little glassing pad. I love it. I don't even know what it weighs.
You know what I did is, way back in the day, I worked with Camel Fire Black Ovis guys that were building. We were also making Core 4 helmet camel band, right? And so we were building these pants. They had these little foam knee pads in them, and there's always a million of these things kicking around. So I took 2 of these knee pads and I duct taped them together, and so one here, and folded them together with the duct tape in between as the hinge, and those things sat in my pack for like 10 years.
That's awesome.
That's all I needed for a glassing pad. It was perfect. And I think I must have left it on the mountain one point last year. So I ended up having to replace it with something else. But it's like, it doesn't take much. Don't overthink it.
Yeah. Small little things like that. Tripods is one thing I think a lot of guys, this is a total plug for one of our tripods. I see so many guys run the cheapest, crappy tripod. Just save up for it, man. Yeah. It is so worth it. For anybody listening, like that little backpacker, if you do backpacking hunts, I love it.
Dude,
I love ours.
It's awesome. It's a sitting tripod, right? You're not going to be using it standing.
Yeah.
Like you could, but
it's
not really made for it. But sitting, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And one thing I guess what we're talking about, like prep, is go in and keep those tripods clean. Keep those legs, so they're not all gritty and sticky and everything else. Go in and tighten those legs up every once in a while. They get floppy and loose. Like it's amazing how, you don't want them too tight where you're fighting them, getting them open, but a good stiff opening tripod leg makes that tripod so much more stable. Versus a floppy loose one. That's pretty important.
And the feet, a lot of guys lose a foot, off one of those via the tripod. Go put some Loctite on them. That's what I've done to mine. Because they'll spin loose, hanging in your pack or walking by stuff. So put some Loctite on there. Check out your ball head on stuff if you're on a ball head. I'm a big pan head guy, so I've got to run the pan head, and I'll check that, make sure it's running smooth, keep it clean, like you said. So, all that little, spotting scope stuff. I mean,
feet if you're using a foot on your spotting scope, that's the biggest thing to me. I've watched so many guys fight those things coming loose on them.
Totally.
It's like, for one, just get a Swaro that has a foot on it and direct arca. You don't have to ever touch, like, that is like one of the most life-changing things ever. Man. Obviously our spotting scope is very good as well, and it does need one. So Loctite that thing on there. The reticle in ours is what really makes it stand out. And I mean it's a very valuable tool in the right situations for spotting. More of a range tool, I think, than a hunting tool. But
I've been really impressed with that spotter, honestly. Like that reticle eyepiece is what I'll use 99% of the time on there. Yeah. Because I'm mainly using it at the range, and that reticle's just so nice, man. Especially like if I'm shooting with my wife, right, and she's maybe not like super versed on, corrections, right? I'll just be like, hey, how many lines loaded to hit? Oh, it was 2. Okay, that was 2 minutes low or whatever, right? So it's like just stuff like that for new people, or you're not getting, still trying to learn MOA and, how to hold it and all that. Yeah. It's so easy to just call it.
It's a big deal.
Or like, hey, you're exactly 10 minutes right of there. 10 minutes right of that tree is where the deer is, right? Yeah. So like, it's nice in that way too. So
you mentioned kill kits earlier. What do you guys do for kill kits, especially like now kind of going into it? I've noticed, again, all my little OCD eccentricities come out here, but like gloves, like I do not like to hunt without gloves.
Same.
Right? And so one of the greatest things I learned from a buddy years back was, I'm telling you, the best I found is Harbor Freight. They're black mechanics gloves. They're like 9 mil. They're crazy thick. It's like I've tried stuff from all over the place. Those are hands down the best I found anywhere.
They're bulletproof.
Dude, they're amazing. You could freaking cut up 2 elk with one pair of those gloves.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Dude.
They're legit.
And
they have some that have a little texture on them too. Are those the ones you have too?
I think these ones are slick, but they're they got different thicknesses. It's like get the thick ones. Yeah. And they're money, but like I don't go I'm not doing it right if I don't have a couple pairs of gloves in my pack, because inevitably we start cutting up an animal and my buddies are saying, oh, I don't have any gloves. You got some I can borrow?
I always just bring 2 in case I was to tear one, but I've yet to tear one of those. But I've got the same type of setups. So
I usually have to bring 10 and just the normal ones because I'm busting through them left and right.
Yeah. So those are a big one for sure. Kill kit wise, I will. Gloves is a big one. I have an actual little mini sharpening steel.
Do you? Yeah.
Because I went Havalon forever, broke too many blades, got annoyed by it, went to a fixed blade steel, bench made, and the thing's freaking sharp and it holds an edge forever. But I just take that little steel and I'll hit it,
right?
Maybe halfway through the cleaning process, and it's ready to go again. Yeah. But especially like breaking down joints and stuff, or like taking the head off, things like that. It's like those sticker blades are nice to have, handy. But there's points where I'm like, I wish I had a Havalon for this stuff. So I may pick up something to add to that.
But Havalon weighs less than an ounce.
Yeah, literally. So it's like, I need to add one of those in there.
They've even got those ones that are not the folding ones. They're just a blade holder. Oh, yeah, right? It's like that way it's even more low profile.
It's true. It's a good point.
I like the Outdoor Edge one. That's one that I've used.
they're
that's
pretty
good.
awesome.
It's a bit tougher.
Yeah.
Yeah, they hold up a little bit better for sure.
So knife, little steel, couple pairs of gloves. There's probably people going to cringe about like meat care, and I'm usually, if I kill something, I'm out of there that day, and at least in the high country most of the time it's not very hot, but I'm plastic bags all day long.
You're right. There's probably a bunch of guys up up out of their chairs right now. I'm the same. I'm a trash compactor bag
exactly.
guy.
Yep.
Like I very rarely
hefty
carry an actual game bag.
Yeah.
I've got them and I'll use them when I can, especially if we're close to the car or whatever. But to me, those really thick, heavy duty trash bags, you got to keep them out of the sun, right?
Yep.
Like there are applications, there are advantages and disadvantages, but just keeping things clean, again, my OCD, like I just keeping things clean is nice. So.
And if you've got a couple days to go out, you don't want all your stuff in your bag just soaked with blood and whatnot.
And there's so many other uses for them too, right?
Yeah.
If like on the hunt, emergency rain gear. I mean, I could go on and on and on about different uses, but they're pretty dang handy to have.
Cutting them open, laying them down on the ground just to throw your meat
keeping
on.
meat clean.
Yep.
It's like if your meat's getting dirty when you're cutting it up and then putting it in a nice game bag, and you're the guy that's all worried about meat care, then maybe you should reevaluate some things in your life. Yeah. But again, to each his own. Yeah. But
that's what's in my kill kit there. But then
what about tags, like licenses,
like where I keep them?
Yeah.
I do put mine in the front of that Kuyu pouch, but it is a mother to get them out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, especially you got like 5 or 6 of them in the front of that thing. It's just like too tight to fit them in there. One thing I will say, this is like been my one thing I've gone to the last few years, is Kuyu has these boned out game bags with the zipper.
Yep.
Right.
That's exactly
and it's
what
got
I
the little
use.
handles.
Yeah.
I put all my gear in that, and then I just slide it in my pack.
Yep.
And it's like the only thing that's outside of that is like maybe my spotting scope, and like maybe my rain gear that's just on the top for quick grab, right? But it's like it's all in there, and so like if I have to stay up there for a longer period of time, I could put that meat in one of those bags and then just hang it in the tree.
Double duty,
so it's like most of the time I'm obviously just, we're shooting, we're out of there that day. I'm to a cooler within 4 hours.
Yeah.
So
I do the same thing. My entire kill kit, and I've been doing kill kits since I think before kill kits were a thing. But, it's the trash bags, gloves, tags, and all in their own little Ziploc baggies to kind of keep everything managed, and knives. And so basically it's like, okay, something's on the ground, this is the thing that I need, right? Everything that you need is in there. Your pen to sign your tag,
I was just
and whatever else.
don't forget your pen.
And that thing slips into the water. I don't carry a hydration pack anymore, and so that thing just slips into the hydration pack pocket in my bag, and it's always there, and I always know where it is.
Nice.
Works pretty well.
I like that.
Don't forget paracord either.
Paracord's always valuable.
Being able to tie something up to a tree and let it hang down if you're on a super steep hill. Yeah, that's.
Paracord saved my butt. Paracord and duct tape. One year I was up on top of a mountain with a buddy of mine. Spotting scope tipped over, busted the foot of the spotting scope off the body. Right, just cracked it right in half. It was like I don't even remember what spotter it was.
So you just lashed it on there?
We lashed it, and then like around this way, and then duct tape, and it was like we made it through the hunt. It was fine, but it was like paracord, duct tape. That saved the day.
Those are great ones.
Would have been miserable without it. Well,
anything else? I'm sure there's probably plenty of other stuff that we're skipping over, but I think there's been some pretty good.
One would be one thing that I have been terrible about. This is a really good one. Is water filtration. Your filters a lot, right? Like during hunts, I'm terrible about it, right? I'll filter water and hardly drain it, just throw it in my pack and go, right? And it's like, who knows what's sitting in there and growing in there
all summer long,
or even after season, is go through and filter some water, do some back washing through it, and over there just clean that thing out. So when you get there, you're filtering water fast, because I know how it goes, right? You get to where you need to go, and you're like, I need some water, and you're gonna sit there for an hour trying to filter water because your filter's plugged. So just go through and clean that stuff.
It's a big thing. I use those Sawyer bag filters a lot, and they're awesome. They're cheap, but they don't last terribly long when you start getting into some water with some really good stuff in them, sediment. And so, it's like I had a hunt 2 years ago, I think, where we got up to 10,000 feet deer opener and realized that my filter that I've been using all summer it was clogged, you know, and that's kind of sucks.
It takes
waste a lot of time trying to make those things
so
work.
much time.
So
that's a good one.
They're cheap enough. Just replace them.
Yeah, just replace them. They weigh they're lighter than pretty much any of the other ones I've yet to find too. Sleeping bag. What are you guys running for sleeping bags? I always have to ask.
I just picked up actually this year some a new down sleeping bag. So sweet. I guess it was last fall. I got one hunt out of it last fall. So I went Marmot.
Cool.
You know, shopped around. I really wanted one of those Kuiu down bags that look really good, but 850 fill, you know, water resistant down is an absolute game changer.
Gotta have it.
Yeah.
Cool.
You know, if you're a really wet environment, there's a certain place for synthetic, but
cool.
And one thing I like, how often have you cleaned your sleeping bag? It's like, you know,
good point.
This is the time we're talking about prep, right? Yeah. It's like maybe time to think about washing that ratty old sleeping bag that you've got 5 seasons on and never washed once.
Yeah, anyway, I'm always worried about messing it up.
Grab some down wash. So it's not hard. You YouTube it or whatever you want. Google it. It's like some down wash and a front load washer. You can't do this, you know, top center with the agitator, but some down wash, a front load washer, and a handful of tennis balls, and go to town.
Nice. Good to know.
Yeah.
Might consider that.
Get it down. It just flies aboard.
Yeah, the big thing is you just got to tumble it till it's dry, right? Yeah. And that down takes a long time to dry once it's wet, but it'll revive that down. Like, you know, a bag, it's old and greasy, and that down just kind of loses its loft, and you give it a good wash, and it will completely revive it.
Cool. Good to know. Yep. Well, what else we got here, guys?
I think we've covered pretty much everything I had on my list here. I don't know if there's anything else.
No, I'm sure.
Off the top
I guess if we missed something, let us know via email or Instagram or whatever else, and we'll get in the next one.
Always looking for ideas, stuff like that too.
Just waiting for all the hate mail we get on the trash bag thing.
Boy, bring it on! I'm ready.
So the email again, if you want to send in any topics or suggestions, is podcast@gunworks.com.
Yep.
So feel free to hit us up there.
Yeah.
Usually
love the suggestions.
Yeah. So. Usually you'll post a thing on Instagram too, so you can probably comment on that as well. I'm sure. So, thanks guys. Good to talk to you about that stuff. I'm ready for hunts to get here.
It's hunt season.
Yeah.
Cool.
Be fun. All right.
Sounds good. Till next time.
See ya.
If you like what you're hearing here, please take a second and give us a 5-star rating and a positive review on iTunes or on your favorite podcast app. We appreciate your feedback and suggestions for topics you'd like discussed or questions you want answered on the podcast. You can reach out on Facebook or Instagram or send us an email to podcast@gunworks.com. Also, be sure and check out our full offering of long-range gear at gunworks.com. Use promo code LRP for free shipping on any order.